How's everyone doing in virtual world? I appreciate everyone for coming out and joining us, or not coming out and joining us today. Okay, we're going to start with some quick time travel. I want you to close your eyes and think of one thing your family did to support you in your success when you were growing up. I'd love to have folks share their memories in the chat, and when I get to watch this later, I'd love to read them. So I ask hundreds of educators this same question, ask them to bring up those same memories. And they tend to not mention that their families attended back to school night or went to all the PTO meetings. They remember a mom who worked 2 jobs and also still checked their homework, or a grandpa who woke them up every morning to make sure they made it to school, or a sibling who stayed up late to help them study. Most of the memories that I hear are things that happened at home and did not involve showing up at a school building at an appointed time. Yet that is how schools, for the most part, measure engagement with families. So what if adults at schools were able to learn from the experts on each child, the people who know and love them best, their families? For a long time, research has told us that when families and schools work together, student outcomes are better. So making strong connections between home and school is essential in order to build an equitable education system. Now we have a global pandemic that has clarified the importance of family engagement beyond school-based events because learning has left the building. At 1647, we help educators reach out and connect with families to build those authentic partnerships that support each student. The COVID-19 pandemic has amplified 1647's mission by putting families at the center of their children's learning. This is my colleague Belisa and her first grader Maria at school in their dining room. Belisa and her husband Dan also have a 7th grader and 2 college students at home. Like millions of caregivers, Belisa is essentially running a one-room schoolhouse right now. Maria's teacher, Ms. Miranda, started connecting with families way back in September. So Belisa trusts her, and she feels very comfortable reaching out if she has any questions or concerns as she now guides Maria's education every day. There are students, families, and educators all across Massachusetts who are trying to figure out how to do school in this new environment. And their experiences are all over the map. Now, we could say Belisa and Maria got lucky because they had a teacher who started building those relationships way at the beginning. But what if everybody could have a similar experience? What Maria's teacher and others know is that family engagement isn't just nice, it's also necessary. And the research backs them up. Dr. Karen Mapp at the Harvard Graduate School of Education is the nation's foremost expert on family engagement. And her research shows that students do better in school, families do better in life, and teachers are more likely to stay in the field when they work together. So that's where 1647 comes in. 1647 disrupts the status quo of family engagement in education. We're about ending those cattle call open houses or the 5-minute conference. Instead, we want to focus on building authentic relationship. To that end, we partner with 3 groups of people: educator preparation programs, K-12 schools and districts, and the out-of-school time partners who care for kids in the summer and after school. We know that educators and families want to work together, but if they haven't seen it done well, they just don't know how. Early career educators are often closer in age and experience to their students than to their students' families, and they've received little or no training in family engagement. So it often falls to the bottom of their list of competing priorities. Like Belisa, everyone on our team has either raised or is raising school-age kids. So we are able to give those educators a low-risk opportunity to test their skills with real experts before they have to call their own students' families. Our partnerships follow a 3-step progression. We always start with mindset. Everyone always wants to jump to what they should do, but we need to examine our assumptions and beliefs first. Educators need to understand what their biases are and how their actions and the broader system impact equity in their schools. We start from the belief that all families have the capacity to support their children's learning. And we ask folks to get curious, not furious, in these sometimes challenging conversations. Then we move to operations. Whether by accident or by design, traditional schools aren't really set up to support high-quality family engagement. Most schedules include little or no time for teachers to proactively reach out to their students' families. We dig into schools' data on their family and staff surveys to identify strengths and challenges. And our professional development workshops are full of role plays and practice on skills like making the phone call home, writing a clear and helpful text, or holding an effective conference so teachers can build their confidence. And then we don't leave. We continue to offer ongoing coaching and support as schools go about changing the way they connect with families. They prototype technology, communication, and translation strategies and schedule changes to ensure that all their families are valued as the experts on their children. We don't believe in one-size-fits-all solutions, so we encourage these teams that are administrators, counselors, and teachers to embrace the mantra, always in beta, so they continue learning and improving together. Let's call this our status quo school. You can see the doors are closed, but people are working hard inside. They're sending home report cards and they're inviting folks to events, but that's about it. At 1647, we consider the unit of change to be the leader of the school or organization. So when that leader is ready to work on family engagement, they contact us and we take their school through the partnership process at their own pace. This allows the school to open up and families begin to feel valued as partners. Trained educators start to reach out to families and build partnerships that are respectful, culturally responsive, collaborative, and they focus on learning, not just the student's behavior. As this is happening, families become more engaged in their child's learning at home, which is critical, especially now. All of these things together bring our vision to a reality. When a leader and a team are all in for this model, it's transformative. Here are 2 data points from a 1647 school after just 1 year. You can see that staff mindsets about family capacity shifted dramatically, and more families felt welcome at the school. These are the essential conditions for creating a culture of partnership. We too live by the mantra, always in beta, and we don't know what will happen next, but we've already proven that we can adapt to the needs of schools and communities. In our first 4 years, we were philanthropically driven and learned a lot about developing and delivering content at schools and the challenges of scaling what was a pretty expensive model. In 2018, we wanted to become more financially sustainable, so we tested a fee-for-service model. We honed our content to what schools really needed and were willing to pay for. That year taught us that there was demand for this work. So we asked philanthropy to support us so that we could scale and grow the model through investments in business development. All of these pieces were coming together and the pandemic hit. The related economic fallout will make it difficult, if not impossible, for schools to afford this professional development, just as teachers are going to need it in order to adapt to this new reality. Our plan for the next 2 school years is to combine philanthropy and fee-for-service funds to respond to these challenging times. We've got a strong data-driven model, and we're asking for your help in 2 ways to ensure all schools and organizations can access it at this critical moment. First, we need to build our network. So if you know the leader of a school, a district, an out-of-school time organization, an educator preparation program, please connect us. Second, we need money. Our mixed revenue model includes long-term philanthropic support that helps us invest in our staff and build our team without putting those costs on the backs of schools. Honestly, right now is not really the best time to rely on earned revenue, but experience has taught us that when schools have some skin in the game, they then prioritize the work. At the same time, we're committed to equity, so we don't want to turn away any schools that are ready to do the work and just don't have the funds at the moment. So we've established a family engagement fund to create a sliding scale that ensures all communities can build strong partnerships to close some of the yawning gaps that have been made wider by this crisis. We're grateful to the Wellington Management Foundation who have jump-started this fund with a $25,000 gift, and we hope that you will join them. Homeschool partnerships are essential, but they're often neglected by a system that is spread too thin. We can no longer afford to put off doing this work. I'm asking you to help educators rise to the occasion. This is Emilio. This is Belize's 7th grader, and he's at school at home. When Emilio and his peers think back on this time, let's make sure that they all remember that the adults at home and school were working together to support their success. Thanks very much.